Hello, Aaron. Cecilia tells a story in which her sister was jealous of her life and that her husband cheated on her with her when she was pregnant. It's a really crazy story. Your opinion in the comments. Enjoy your reviving.
My sister has envied me all her life, after which my husband cheated on me with her when I was pregnant. My sister Lisa 34F and I 33F have always had a tumultuous relationship. Ever since we were kids, she has constantly tried to compete with me in everything. If I joined a club or a sport, she would immediately follow suit and attempt to outperform me. Whether it was debate, chess, or anything else, she was determined to do it better than me. I had a particular passion that I had been involved in since childhood. Over the years, I dedicated a lot of time to practicing and became quite skilled, even winning several awards. When I was 16, Lisa decided she wanted to compete in the same activity. Surprisingly, our parents allowed it, but she didn't have the same dedication. She often ridiculed me during practice or tried to downplay my abilities. On the day of the competition, it was clear that she was not as prepared as the other participants. Despite this, she expected to win a major title. Unfortunately for her, I ended up securing the top award. Our parents were thrilled, but Lisa threw a tantrum in front of everyone, causing significant embarrassment. At home, our parents tried to console her and explain that everyone has their own strengths, and she didn't need to compete with me in everything. They assured her that they were proud of her regardless of the outcome. However, Lisa lashed out at me, breaking my award in anger. This deeply hurt me because I had worked very hard for those accolades. Although our parents reprimanded her, she didn't care and refused to discuss her jealousy in the therapy sessions they arranged for her. As we grew older, things only got worse. Mornings before school were dreadful. She would criticize my outfits and mock my hair, saying she was ashamed of how unattractive I looked. For context, I've always been tall and slender with long blonde hair. I preferred wearing comfortable loose clothes while Lisa liked skirts and crop tops. Despite her taunts, I knew I wasn't unattractive because I received a lot of male attention even at a young age. My mother would scold Lisa for her mean comments, so she took her bullying to school, where she could get away with it. She would flaunt her popularity, hanging out with the cool crowd, while I preferred genuine friends. I am an introvert and not as loud as she is. In the hallways, she would loudly declare that I wasn't her real sister and must have been adopted. In high school, I decided to create my own blog on a new platform. I was just 17 and knew nothing about how the platform worked, but I loved writing and wanted to share my thoughts. Over time, I gained 3,000 subscribers, and local businesses began approaching me to write and promote their products. Initially, they sent me products to review, but as my blog grew, I started earning money from it. My parents were initially unaware of this, but were surprised and proud when they found out I was making money from my blog. Doing something I genuinely enjoyed, my dad helped me set up a bank account in my name, where he was a co-signer until I reached adulthood, so I could save this money for college. When my sister Emily found out, she insisted I share the money with her, claiming it was unfair that I was earning money while she was not. I flatly refused and told her she was welcome to try earning herself. She attempted to get our parents to support her, but they refused, so she decided to start her own blog. Initially, she boasted about how easy it was to write and mocked me, saying it was no big deal and that she was a much better writer. However, when her subscriber count didn't increase, she became very frustrated and asked me how I managed to get brand deals from my blog. She pressured me to promote her articles on my blog, insisting that as sisters, we should share everything. I refused because she had insulted my writing and now was seeking my help, and also because I genuinely didn't like her writing. After a few months without any success, she gave up on this dream. When it came time for college, our mom had attended a prestigious university that both of us aspired to go to. Emily applied to that school as well as a more prestigious one, but was rejected and had to enroll in a local university, which was good but not as renowned. When it was my turn to apply, she told me not to bother with Ivy League schools because if she didn't get in, I wouldn't either. I pointed out that my grades were excellent, which is what these schools look for, but she insisted my personality wasn't suited for those institutions. Ignoring her, I applied to our mom's Ivy League school and fortunately was accepted. When I received the acceptance email, I was afraid to tell her, knowing she would react badly. My parents gently broke the news to Emily during a weekend dinner, and as expected, she didn't take it well. She refused to believe I had been accepted, and upon seeing my acceptance letter, claimed it must be fake because she was a better student and had been rejected. My parents and I were growing weary of her behavior. I never saw her as competition, while she constantly tried to undermine my achievements. My dad tried to talk to her about being supportive, and my mom urged her to see a therapist again, but Emily got furious. She angrily yelled that she was their first child, so she wasn't the problem, and claimed she never wanted a sibling. Then she stormed out of the house in the middle of dinner. From that point on, I decided to keep my distance from her, understanding that as we were getting older, she should have outgrown this jealousy. College truly transformed me. I made new friends and spent time with them, the distance allowing me to focus on my own growth and development without the constant shadow of comparison. I pursued activities and formed connections based on my own interests, rather than reacting to her attempts to outdo me. During my college years, I discovered new passions and interests that were entirely my own, relishing the freedom to be myself without the burden of constant competition. While I hoped Emily would find her own path and embrace her individuality, our relationship remained strained. When she could no longer compete with me academically, she started to become competitive in our personal lives. I was always pretty passive-aggressive when I got a boyfriend before she did. When my boyfriend Liam and I decided to move in together, she never missed a chance to make snide comments about it. Eventually, she found a guy named Ben, who seemed perfect for her, and her mean comments started to mellow out. I could sense that she had this desire to get married first and be the first to have kids, but honestly, it didn't bother me much because I wasn't in any rush. Then, on Thanksgiving, she announced that she was getting married in 2025, and I genuinely felt happy for her. I even congratulated her and her fiancé, and she hugged me for the first time in a long time. I thought we had finally taken a step towards mending our relationship. In the months following my sister's wedding announcement, life took an unexpected turn. We received a call from my boyfriend's younger brother, Mark, who had just been told by his doctor that he was dealing with a very aggressive disease. The news was hard to comprehend, and without hesitation, we rushed to his side to offer our support. My boyfriend was very close with his brother, and I could see how he was struggling to accept the news. My boyfriend and his brother had also lost their father at a very young age, so they knew how painful it was to lose a loved one. While we were staying with his family, my boyfriend popped the question to me one night out of nowhere. I was surprised because even though we had discussed getting married, I didn't think he would do it at this time. My boyfriend told me how he was afraid that his brother might not live to see us get married, and because he loved me and wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, he didn't see any reason why we should delay it any longer. I understood his perspective completely and agreed because I loved him, and I also recognized the profound happiness it would bring his little brother and the rest of the family. We discussed it, and Liam and I both agreed that we were not the ones for extravagant weddings with a massive guest list. Instead, we wanted a simple celebration surrounded by our nearest and dearest. His family and his brother were extremely happy when they learned of our engagement. I watched his little brother cry tears of joy and hug us. The only thing that nagged at the back of my head was my sister's wedding, which was also approaching. I didn't want her to become competitive again, and I thought we were too old now to even be this immature, so I decided to call her and have a talk with her first before I even informed my parents. I gave her a call, knowing she was aware of my boyfriend's brother's health situation, and shared the news about the proposal and explained that we planned to have a small wedding this year with just close family and friends, including her, my parents, grandparents, and a few friends. My intention was to ensure she could still have her big wedding as planned, and I was not overshadowing anything. I told her how much it meant to Mark that he could be a part of our celebration. However, Linda got upset. She immediately started accusing me of being jealous and suggested that I was using a dying person to rush into getting married first. She told me that this is why she has always hated me since I was born. I was hurt by her words and broke down. I was already having a difficult time processing Mark's illness, and now my own sister refused to accept that this had nothing to do with her. I told her how she was the first person I had called in our family to share the news because I thought for once we could both be happy for each other. But alas, she was back to her old ways. Linda yelled through the phone that I was just a jealous snob, and that she would never attend my wedding. She was so furious that she even screamed that she wished my boyfriend had died instead of his brother, which would have stopped me from getting married. I was really shaken by how much animosity she still had for me and began to doubt my decision. When I talked with my parents, they reassured me that I was not doing anything wrong and that they were happy for both of their daughters. They told me that regardless of Linda's feelings, they would be flying down to attend my wedding. I was grateful that my parents understood my intentions and didn't blame me like Linda. We had the wedding the next day, and it was small and intimate, just as Liam and I wanted. We took pictures with his brother, and everyone was so happy for us. When I uploaded some of our wedding pictures on social media, I received a call from Linda. I thought she was calling to maybe apologize or congratulate me, but instead, she demanded that I delete my pictures from social media because she didn't want our friends and family to find out I had gotten married before her. She told me that once she was married, I could then post my wedding pictures. I refused and stood my ground, telling her how ridiculous it was for her to ask me to hide my wedding. I told her she could hate me as much as she wanted, but I was done trying to make things right with her. She called me insufferable and uninvited me from her wedding. I told her that I was fine with it and asked her to just leave me alone. Liam and I were happy in our marriage. He had a high-pressure job and couldn't take any more leave, so we had to fly back home after the wedding. He had always been an incredibly attentive boyfriend, and that quality seamlessly transitioned into our married life. As a husband, he remained devoted and considerate, making sure our relationship remained a priority despite the demands of his career. A few months later, Linda married David as planned. Although I didn't attend her wedding because she had uninvited me, I did send her a huge bouquet of flowers and a note congratulating her. I saw all her wedding pictures and was genuinely happy for her. However, just a few weeks after their marriage, my mother called to tell me that Linda had been cheating on David with one of her co-workers, and he had just found out. This was a huge scandal, and everyone blamed Linda, who tried to defend herself by saying she wanted an open marriage, but David refused. In the end, David applied for an annulment of their marriage, as he refused to stay with her. We felt sad for the poor guy, as he seemed genuinely in love with Linda. As if this wasn't bad news enough for our family, Liam's brother also passed away during this time. My husband and I rushed to be there for the funeral rites, and he was a complete wreck throughout everything. I don't know why, but something inside my husband just broke, and Liam was never the same after that. He was no longer attentive or loving. He would get angry very quickly over small things and start raging at everyone. I pushed him to go for grief counseling, but this behavior continued. He stopped going to the office, and eventually he was fired. He would sit in his pajamas all day, playing video games or watching sports. I was a paramedic working 12-hour shifts and was the only earning adult during this time. I tried my best to talk to my husband, but he would never take me seriously. No amount of counseling or therapy seemed to help because he refused to help himself. I started noticing that something was off when he would constantly start to hide his phone around me. This had never been the case before, so I became suspicious. He would consistently ask me when I was coming back from work and urge me to stay out late. He wouldn't spend any time with me or even ask simple questions like how my day was going. He was constantly spending money either going out or buying himself gifts. During this period, I found out that I was 3 months pregnant. I had missed my periods, but I assumed it was due to work stress. Never in a million years did I imagine that I would be pregnant. When I told Liam that I was expecting, he seemed indifferent. I told him right away that if he didn't want to be a father, he was welcome to walk away from our marriage. He assured me that he was happy for us. Throughout my entire pregnancy, I dealt with severe sickness, and honestly, it may have led me to unintentionally neglect my husband even more as I was preoccupied with my health issues. Being sick took a toll on every aspect of my life. I hadn't been able to work for 4 months and stopped going out to meet my friends. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum, and the effects were pretty unbearable. That pregnancy was far from easy, and my parents had even stepped in to help with household chores since I was too unwell to do anything. Throughout all this, Liam had managed to get a job and was supporting both of us. I assured him that after my pregnancy, I would rejoin the workforce, as I didn't like staying at home anyway. We would sometimes fight when Liam came back home from work because he would call me lazy or dramatic for not doing anything around the house, even though I was in pain. On the day my water broke, I called Liam 12 times, but he did not pick up my call even once. I sent him a text saying I was about to have the baby and he should meet me at the hospital. I asked my parents to drive me to the hospital, and they readily agreed. As I was in the hospital bed, writhing in pain while waiting to give birth, I received a notification on my phone. My mother, who was in the delivery room with me and holding my hand, checked the phone because we assumed it might be Liam. Her eyes widened in shock as she read the message. I asked her what it was, and she refused to tell me. I asked her again as I started having terrible thoughts and pleaded with her to tell me. She handed me my phone, looking extremely sad. As I opened my messages, I found a picture of my sister Linda with Liam lying together in bed, and Linda had sent a message saying, "Good luck being a single mother because I have taken your husband." I was speechless reading the message. I could not believe my eyes and called Liam. He picked up the call after the 4th ring and casually asked why I was calling him. I started shouting and asked him what the hell he was doing with my sister, and he simply replied that he had fallen in love with Linda. He explained how she supported him through his tough times when she reached out to him after his brother's death, and they had been talking to each other for a while. Apparently, one thing led to another, and they had been having an affair behind my back for months. He told me that he wanted to hide the affair until I had given birth, but Linda didn't want to keep up the lies anymore. Clearly, Linda had waited until this very moment to make this news even more painful for me. He started to apologize, but I cut him off and told him that I didn't care about his apologies and I would see him in court. Cheating was a big no for me, and even though my heart was shattered into a million pieces, the love of my life and the father of my child had decided to betray me by sleeping with my sister. I would not let this break me down. I cried throughout my delivery from the heartbreak and pain. Thankfully, despite this, my daughter Lily was born healthy and thriving. My mother cried tears of joy, and later my dad could not stop gazing at my baby and congratulating me. All my family members and friends came to visit me to show their support. I made sure everyone knew that Linda had slept with my husband and sent me that picture. My parents called Linda and told her that they were done with her and that what she had done was unforgivable. They told her that she should never call them her parents because they were ashamed of having given birth to her. Linda tried to protest and say how Liam and she were in love, but my dad assured her that she was cut off from their will. We blocked her from our lives as well as our phones. Some of my cousins and relatives sent her nasty messages, and I did nothing to stop them. What she had done needed to be called out. I also informed Liam's mother about what her son had done, and she was shocked. She did try to talk to Liam, but it was all too late. I was going to divorce him, and no one was going to stop me. I moved out all my things, and my parents helped me move them to their house. Liam did try to confront me and tell me how he had been thinking, and after talking to his mother, realized that he had made a huge mistake, but I didn't even spare him a glance. I refused to let him see our daughter until we cleared it with the court, as I didn't trust him around our child. What he and Linda had done was unhinged, so I didn't want Lily to be exposed to all that. While I lived with my parents, I met with a good lawyer and filed for divorce. During the divorce proceedings, Liam fought hard to refuse alimony, but because he had cheated on me during the marriage while I was still pregnant, the judge refused to let him get away with it. For custody, I got primary custody, and he was allowed to see our daughter only with supervision. My lawyer did a great job in showing evidence of how Liam had suffered from depression and aggressive behavior after his brother had passed away, which was potentially a red flag. It's been 8 months now since my divorce from Liam. He regularly sends child support, but other than that, he hardly comes to visit our daughter. He has tried talking and apologizing to me a few times, but I pay no heed to him. I have gone back to work because I need to provide for my child while my mother babysits Lily. Then, after I come home from work, I take over. Lily is the only reason I have been able to keep my head up and keep my life moving. Yesterday, out of nowhere, I received a call from an unknown number. When I picked up, I heard Linda on the other line. I froze in shock as I had blocked her from my contact list months before. Linda begged me not to hang up and started to tell me how she had been trying to get in touch with me for months and finally decided to call me from her friend's phone. I told her firmly that I had nothing to talk to her about, and asked her not to call me again. However, she immediately rushed to say how Lily was going to have a brother very soon. A mix of shock, disbelief, and a tinge of anger swept over me. I asked her for an explanation, and she told me how she was pregnant with Liam's child. She continued to say how I should forgive her now for the sake of her child, as she was going to be a mother, and how we should move past our differences. I firmly reiterated to Linda that I did not care if she was pregnant or not, because I wanted nothing to do with her. Hearing this, Linda started to scream about how, because of me, our parents and the rest of the family had stopped talking to her and did not even return her calls. She said how Liam refused to accept her pregnancy and was pressuring her to abort, and how she had no one to help her during such a difficult time. I laughed, hearing her pleas, and reminded her how she had decided to sleep with my husband while I was pregnant and sent me that inappropriate picture during my childbirth. I told her that she had made her bed and now she should lie in it, and I happily told her to enjoy being a single mother without any support system. Since our call, I have talked to my friends about my sister, and I have received mixed reactions from everyone. While some of my friends think I'm doing the right thing, there are a few who think I'm being too cruel, especially because I know firsthand how difficult it is to be alone during a pregnancy. So here I am on Reddit to get an unbiased opinion. Aita for refusing to forgive my sister after she slept with my ex-husband and destroyed my life. Update 1. Okay guys, I have received a lot of comments, and it has given me a lot to think about. I would like to clarify that I blame my husband as much as I blame my sister for what they did to me. The reason it hurt me more that Linda did this to me is because she has always competed with me all her life. I have never understood why. All I ever wanted was a big sister to look up to, yet I got a sister who was a bully. I will never forgive her no matter what anyone says. However, I will talk to my parents and make it clear that they are welcome to have a relationship with Linda and her son if they want to do so. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update and people have been hounding me to give an update. Sorry, I've been busy with work and childcare. By the way, Lily is doing just fine for those of you who have asked about her. She is an adorable child and I keep falling in love with her every day. Liam doesn't really visit her, and I honestly don't mind. When Lily grows up, I can have this conversation with her, and until then, she is happy being taken care of by me and my parents. Now, coming on to the main update, I did have a talk with my parents and let them know that Linda was pregnant. They were shocked, just like me. I told them how it was Liam's child and that he wanted nothing to do with her. Apparently, my mother started to cry, and I felt emotional seeing my parents in distress. I could see how much my parents were disappointed in my sister. My dad finally called up Liam to have a man-to-man conversation. Liam spilled the truth. He told us how, after our divorce, he had stopped seeing Linda since she lost interest in him and dropped him. She started going out with multiple men and he was really hurt, so he stopped pursuing her. Then a few weeks later, she contacted him and told him about her pregnancy. Liam told her that since they were not married, and had no plans of getting back together, she could potentially decide not to go through with the pregnancy. However, Linda told Liam how she wanted to be a mother just like me and that he should prepare himself. Liam pleaded with her to think this through since pregnancy and childcare are not easy. But Linda apparently told him that if I could do it with Lily, then she could do it also with her son. Liam told my dad that he was ready to pay child support but wanted no relationship with the child. Since this conversation, my parents have realized that Linda hasn't changed at all. She is clearly having this baby to somehow compete with me yet again. Honestly, it is exhausting, and I don't want Lily to grow up like I did, so I want to keep myself and my daughter away from all this. I told my parents that they were welcome to talk to Linda and have a relationship with her if they wanted, but they seemed reluctant. I've also started looking for houses so I can move out of my parents' place with Lily. Update 3. Hi, my fellow Redditors. I am updating this after 5 months. I am thankful to everyone who has been keeping up with my posts and sending me sound advice. I did move out of my parents' place as I had updated earlier, and currently Lily and I are living on our own. I have hired a babysitter who takes care of my daughter while I am at work. It feels good to finally have my own space. Being a single parent is hard, but I am managing every day. Linda gave birth to her son, and my mother was the only one who went to meet her, while my dad refused. My mother has told Linda how disappointed everyone is with her for what she has done, and that the only reason she even came to see her was because of the child. Linda did beg for forgiveness, but my mother told her that our relationship with her was done. I am sure it must hurt my mother to cut off her daughter, but Linda has done things that make it hard for everyone to forget. My dad wants nothing to do with her and has stayed true to his words. Meanwhile, my parents continue to support me and Lily however they can. They regularly visit us during the weekend. Liam continues to pay child support not only to me for Lily, but now also for Linda's child. I can't begin to write how embarrassing this is. I have spent many nights crying into my pillow alone because I still struggle with this betrayal. This is why I have been going to therapy, and I understand that healing myself will take some time.
Hello guys, it's really crazy and interesting story. What do you think? Write comment, put like and subscribe to channel, Instagram and Discord. Good luck!